Welcome back. Let's roll out to Los Angeles, bring in Coach Jason Brown, wrap up our football discussion. JB, I want to start with Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins, combine them both. And by the way, JB, let me start here. Are you losing weight? You almost look slim.
Oh, yeah, I've lost like 40 pounds, man, in the last 6 months.
Yeah, you look good, man. You know, we grow some of your hair back. You could almost, you know, you might catch something.
Right, I might. I'm trying.
Anyway, let's start with Dak Prescott and or Kirk Cousins. Who of these two quarterbacks, which one needs a postseason victory more?
Oh, Dak Prescott. I got the precursor to the show. I'm like, will Deshaun Watson return to greatness? I'm like, when was he great? I'm missing something? Am I missing something? When was Deshaun Watson great?
We're getting there. Would you talk about Dak first? We're going to get there. Would you talk about Dak first?
Yeah, Dak Prescott needs one in a major way. Tom Brady's already Tom Brady. We already agree, right? Most people anoint him as the GOAT because of the 7 rings. So Tom Brady obviously doesn't need a big victory. But if Dak can beat Tom Brady, now you got something to say, okay, well, at least I surpassed Tony Romo as one of the worst quarterbacks in Cowboy history. So maybe if he can get a playoff victory that means something, maybe Dak can get past it and move on. But Dak needs a win in a major way. I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I don't think he can shine bright enough. I think the lights are too bright for him, and I don't think he can get past it. He has a mental block. And some of those throws that he makes, man, it just is. But what do I know? I say it every day, Jason. Like, some of the things he does is just it. When you are consistently inconsistent at quarterback, it doesn't usually rain well for you. And your franchise usually doesn't win big games when it matters. And he's consistently inconsistent.
I think what's going on with Dak, and I want your reaction to this, is he broke his ankle or something last year, and now I think he's more hesitant to run, and he's playing more from the pocket, and he's just not as effective. That's why in just 12 games, he leads the league in interceptions, and I know he's had some terrible interceptions that have bounced off the chest of some of his receivers, but 15 picks in 12 games is 15 picks in 12 games. That's not a very good season. He has struggled. I think that $40 million contract, I said it from the day one. They paid a guy $40 million. It's going to be too much weight for him to carry. You pay somebody that much money, the expectations of your teammates, of yourself, all elevate. And he's not the type of guy whose play on the field is going to justify $40 million a year. I don't care how big the salary cap gets. You're paying somebody $40 million, that's like you're paying him like he's Michael Jordan, and it's just not, or Dan Marino, and it's just not there. I think it's too much pressure for Dak, and that's why he had this very mediocre season.
Yeah, I agree. Pressure burst pipes where we're from, man. I don't think he understands that. He's not in that elite level by any means. And I don't know. Let me ask you this, Jason. What is the difference in wins and losses with Cooper Rush if he was still playing? If Cooper Rush was playing, do you think there's a huge difference? I don't think they have any more losses, and they may have one more win at least. So I don't know if Dak is such a big difference. I understand he's more athletic. I understand he's probably more talented spinning the ball. But is the difference, does the reward outweigh the risk when it comes to dollars and cents? And a lot of teams have that question to answer this year. Not only coming up to the draft, like the Houston Texans who fired Lovie Smith, another one and done. You have Pete Carroll. He's got a lot of great assets in the draft coming up. He's got 2 first-round picks that he's probably the GM of the year. And then you have some other teams that have to answer this question. Baltimore, Washington. You got a lot of teams out there, and then where Aaron Rodgers going? Where's Tom Brady going? So you're going to have a lot of movement. Derek Carr. I mean, so are you going to go with a guy that's you can pay less money to and surround your roster with better talent? Or are you going to go after this quarterback and leave your team kind of mediocre? I'm going with the quarterback that's not the big name, because we've seen that these other quarterbacks, backups in specific, can do the job just as well as a $140 million guy. Look at Arizona and Kyler Murray's situation. So
well,
I think
the point you're making is, look, if you build a proper team, look what San Francisco's getting out of Brock Purdy. That's your point. If you build a proper team,
they've played 3 quarterbacks over there, and they have enough talent around them to window dress the quarterback position. And I think you can do it. Washington did it with Heineke for 6 weeks. I don't know what happened with Ron Rivera, why he went away from him to Wentz again. He lost the roster and the team, in my opinion, when he did that. And now you're grab bagging, and you're playing Sam Howell, the rookie, yesterday, just to see if he's the guy going forward. And clearly he's not. And either are any of these other rookies right now. But there are some good backups in the league, like the Cooper Rushes, like the Heinekes. Geno Smith's proven to be doing that. There's some other guys in the league that I believe you can win with the proper roster. And I'm not even unsure that David Mills in Houston can't be that guy. Why go draft a first round, another quarterback, just to please your crowd base when you're another 1-16 season away from just when is the owner going to look at himself instead of firing coaches every year? It's your roster, it's your team. And I don't know if the quarterback position is good enough, Jason, at the college level or as a rookie in an NFL franchise that has no protection up front, no wideout core, no running game, and we're going to throw these young guys out there and say, oh, go win my franchise Super Bowl? Come on, man. When are we going to start understanding that these young quarterbacks need some roster help? And let's build the roster in Houston. Let's play with Mills. Go draft a big-time O-line or wideouts, or go get some corners or some D-line, and let's get better year in and year out. And then we'll worry about a quarterback in a couple of years. But right now they're going to draft Bryce Young, and then what? You're going to be 1-16 again next year, Jason. We're going to be talking about the same thing.
Well, the Bears could possibly take Bryce Young. I know they got Justin Fields. Let me ask you, since you forced me to freelance, which isn't a bad thing, but let me freelance. Is Bryce Young, is he – I'm not 1,000% sold on him. He's small. I don't like undersized quarterbacks. Is he – what kind of an impact – who do you compare him to in the NFL right now? What's his ceiling?
I've talked to Sark about this. I've talked to guys that have actually coached him. I've known him growing up in L.A., watching him play. He has he's very cerebral. He's got an understanding for protections and coverage rotations already. I like that he's played in a pro-style, Bill O'Brien, Sarkisian offense. So I believe he plays under center a little bit more, similar to Caleb Williams and what they do under Lincoln Riley at SC. That's why I do like the fact that Caleb Williams is a little more NFL ready, because they do take some under center snaps. Bryce Young the same way. NFL system, Bill O'Brien, Saban, Sark coached him early in his career when he won the Heisman. I think he'll be a little more battle tested playing in the SEC. But having said that, he is small like Caleb Williams, and even Caleb's a little thicker, obviously. But I think Caleb Williams is the second coming to Kyler Murray. I think Bryce Young is the second coming to a Jalen Hurts. I think he can be productive in the NFL. I think he reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts. I think he has a quicker release, though, and a stronger arm. And I think he can throw a better spiral. And I think that means something in the NFL to all the naysayers out there that doesn't understand what a spiral does in the wind and in the rain and in the snow. It's easier ball to catch for the receivers, so you do understand. But But I think Bryce has those things, and I think he can be a step ahead of a guy like Jalen Hurts entering the league as a rookie compared to some other guys. But again, I still don't think he's ready to start in the NFL as a rookie on a bad franchise. So if you go to Chicago, you're doing what this kid's doing right now, Justin Fields, which is going to struggle. You have no O-line, you have no perimeter out wide threat, you have no tight end, you have no run game, you have no defense. Like, it's like, come on, man, it's not just a quarterback. He's not Michael Jordan, who has to go to the paint on 4 guys and draw a foul. This guy has to play against 10 other guys and run for his life. So you're just going to replace one. You're going to try to repair a bullet wound with a Band-Aid, and you got to start at a different place. You got to go get some other key positions filled. And the only time, Jason, I'm going to be honest, before you ask me, the only time I've seen you draft a receiver first, like the Bengals did with Chase, what do you call it? Jamar Chase. That helped them. Their O-line was horrible. Joe Burrow was so good with Chase that it led him to a Super Bowl in year 2, really year 1 after the injury he had. And now you have one of the best wide receiver cores in football, and now you've shored up your O-line where Burrow looks like Tom Brady-esque right now. He's in the pocket with clean pocket. He's not getting blasted every 5 seconds. He hasn't been hit in like 6 weeks, and that's why the Bengals are probably playing better than anybody in football right now. I got to ask you, Jason, would you take the best quarterback in the 15th ranked defense or the 15th ranked quarterback in the number 1 defense? I'm taking the best quarterback. I'm taking Burrow all day long over a 49ers best defense instead of having Brock Purdy and the best defense. I'm taking that all day long because quarterback play in the playoffs matter under those shiny bright lights. And Purdy's not ready. Brady or those type of guys are. And I'm going to take that guy versus your number 1 defense 100% of the time.
No, I'm taking Nick Bosa in that defense over, no, I'm taking Nick Bosa in that defense.
When is a quarterback that is that average won a Super Bowl? Trent Dilfer?
Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl, didn't he, with Tampa?
Best defense of that season. Best defense in football that year. And so did Trent Dilfer. Yeah. Ravens. This 49er defense, by the way, is not either one of those defenses.
Look, it's not that I think Brock Purdy is better than Dilfer or Brad Johnson. I just think it's easier to play quarterback now than it was then. And so I think Brock Purdy's good enough with that defense. And Christian McCaffrey is an element that, I think Deebo Samuel's back now. I think they got enough other weapons, and Kyle Shanahan's such a terrific play caller and play creator. I think with that defense, they can get away with Brock Purdy.
I think they lose Saturday. I think
the 49ers lose on Saturday.
I think they lose Saturday.
The 49ers lose. Why?
Have you seen Pete Carroll's record versus Shanahan? Have you seen Pete Carroll's defense, what it does to Shanahan? Just look at their record. Look at their record. Look at it. Pete Carroll owns Shanahan. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had Pac-Man Jones on my show this morning. He agrees. Pete Carroll's going to fire his own scheme this kid this weekend. He's not ever going to see this defense, even though he's played him once as a starter now. He's got to play him one time. He is not going to see what he's going to see in the playoffs this weekend. And Geno Smith, all you got to do is come up with 10 early points. If Seattle gets up 10-0, that game is over. I'm telling you right now.
So that's a decent segue into what I want. You're just dead wrong about.
We'll see.
You're dead wrong there. But would you commit, if you're Seattle, would you commit to Geno Smith moving forward?
Again, they have two great draft pick numbers. They have two. What are they drafting? 3rd and 12th or something like that next year? They got a hell of a D2 DB, the big 6'4", Richard Sherman-esque kid who's starting at the corner spot this year as a rookie. who he stole in the draft. He has a running back who he stole in the draft in Kenneth Walker III, who could be easily an MVP candidate next year and was definitely probably going to get Rookie of the Year. And because of Bryce Hall being put out for the Jets and got hurt, or he would have probably got it. But having said that, you can shore up and go get Geno Smith, a big-time tight end, with a trade either with one of your picks or you draft a tight end from Georgia or one of these big-time tight ends from Utah. And I believe Geno Smith flourishes with a big-time tight end to surround himself with Lockett and Metcalf. And if Geno will be so much more comfortable with a tight end in there than he would be right now with Will Disley and I don't know who the hell they have. I think a tight end is missing. I think you can keep Geno, and I think you can surround them and get better on defense. Go get you a couple big-time pass rushers, a couple more safeties, and another backer to replace Wagner, who's gone for the Rams. I think that team is a few pieces away from being very, very good in the next year or two. And I think Pete Carroll understood it. That's why I think he's the GM of the year, by getting rid of Russell Wilson, knowing there was something there that we did not know, and now rocking and getting this team to the playoffs, which no one thought would happen. And I don't think you need to make a drastic move at quarterback and draft a quarterback or move up. I think you can win with Geno. But I think you got to get a few more pieces to surround him. Sean Salisbury and I break Geno down quite often. Geno looks good, man. I'm telling you, he looks really good at times. And they can get another piece inside a guard and another tackle. I would draft a tight end, a couple O-line pieces, and a couple guys on defense, and use some assets to shuffle around. Maybe trade for a big-time tight end that's available out there. Trade up for somebody. I'd keep them and draft around and make that roster even better than they are right now, which is a playoff team right now.
So they have the 5th and the 20th pick, just to enter that into the record, not 3rd and 12th, the 5th and the 20th pick. I somewhat agree with you. My only concern is I've seen guys like Geno in all sports, how they are on the way up. When they got the eye of the tiger, nobody believes in them. They wrote me off. I didn't write back. He got all that mentality. And then when does it flip in their head to, see, I was right and they was all wrong and I'm the man. And you know what? $40 million. I'm better than Dak Prescott. I'm better than this guy. I'm better than everybody. I was always better than those guys. I was drafted higher than Dak and blah, blah, blah. And then once they flip to that mentality of like, the league owes me, I've been screwed over, Rex Ryan screwed me up, and everything that happened in New York and blah, blah, blah. It's just what mentally happens to Geno in success. Can he sustain it? That's my concern and question.
I don't see that in his character. I don't get that vibe from his character. Let
me clarify this. This isn't a Geno specific. This is just young men in general. It's almost like me at a craps table. I've had moments where you get on a roll for an hour and I got craps figured out. I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh my God. Earlier this season, I went on a 12-1 streak picking games. 12-1. Oh, I got this whole thing figured out. Oh, and reality has come storming back to humble me. It's like, you ain't got nothing figured out. No one does. You can't figure this. This isn't specific to Geno. This is just his situation, been written off, what success does to your ego. That's where I'm concerned.
I think he's a little bit older than that now, though. Speaking about Geno in specific, I think he's kind of realized, okay, this is my niche. This is where I belong right now. Pete Carroll's given me this opportunity to be a captain, a leader around a team that's won Super Bowl, been to a couple Super Bowls under this man. He's been around. He's won everywhere he's been. Maybe I can learn some things and stay at this place for a couple years because I'm not getting the $200 million contract. My time's passed. I'm not that guy. I think he understands and understands his lane, understands the lane he's in. But my question, Jason, is this. You draft a young quarterback, and if you do the percentages and do the data and the analytics and everything we love to do nowadays, what rookie quarterback's coming in balling out of control right now? There isn't one. So
not a rookie quarterback that I think they wouldn't make a play for a rookie. It's just would they get involved with a Derek Carr or someone to compete with Geno? Would they, you know?
I think Pete knows. These guys talk, Jason. I think Pete called Gruden, said, hey, man, why were you trying to get rid of Gruden? I mean, a Carr. Because he's horrible? Okay, I figured that. Yeah, he just can't play under the big pressure, Pete. All right, good deal. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from Derek Carr. I think Carroll understands that. I don't see him taking him. You know who I do see him taking, which I'm not a fan of, but I can see him taking him and let him compete? Baker Mayfield. I can see them very easily.
Oh, God, no.
That is kind of an inside source from a few coaching buddies I have in the NFL. They can see him easily going to Seattle and competing versus Geno, giving him a competition. I'm going to tell you this. They have to bring in someone to keep Geno on his toes, though. And I believe Geno is much better than
That ain't Baker Mayfield. That ain't Baker Mayfield. Lord have mercy.
And Colin Cowherd said that Baker Mayfield is hands down better than Geno Smith. I almost lost my breakfast. And I was like, what? And but I can see him coming in there with the so-called swag Baker does possess and give him a battle in camp, which can keep Geno on edge. And that is a psychological ploy that Pete runs. Pete does a lot of the Phil Jackson mind control type or mind games type of things that I can see him easily doing to keep Geno on edge, to keep him in where he's not comfortable. And that is something. But they're going to bring in a wily veteran if they do and draft other pieces. And he's hit it pretty much. Belichick and Pete Carroll, I would argue the last 10, 12 years are the two best GMs in football. As coaches, coaches and GM.
Yeah. Final thing. You've already previewed it, but I need you to address it. Deshaun Watson. Terrible this season in Cleveland. You seem upset with my assertion that there was a time when Deshaun Watson was headed towards greatness, showing greatness in Houston. Do you think Deshaun Watson recovers next season and returns to a high level of play?
He had the one decent year where he was up on KC and he won a playoff game and all that. They had a pretty damn good team there in Houston that year before Bill O'Brien blew it up and got rid of Hopkins and Watt and all those guys left. He really hasn't played since, to be honest. So we don't really know. I don't know if I would ever associate greatness with him. This is the thing about it. Who thought he would ball out this year? I didn't. I've been saying it for months and months and months. I said there's no way this kid can play under the immense stress that he has to have on him every day with all these allegations and accusations and everything else. And, Jason, how many more accusations and allegations are going to hit this offseason? Because it's still going on, and I think the Browns failed this kid in putting him in the game this year at all. Like, this guy's just going to come in and win out and get us in the playoffs? Come on, man. This guy hadn't even built a camaraderie with his roster, with his locker room. This organization is floundering as we speak. You got Jadeveon Clowney walking out of practice, getting kicked out, don't come back. We have a very bad nucleus in Cleveland. We got bad management, upper management. We got a bad ran organization here. and it's much bigger. And I think just signing him alone tells you that this organization is disgruntled and incompetent at the least. So if anyone thought he was going to come back and ball, they were out their mind. There's no way you coming back from this with all these different things. You still got pending allegations out there, and you miss all these games. Your first game back is at your former organization in Houston. You know that was a money grab to get fans in the stands in Houston. And then you have now a guy that's this roster may be imploded. It may get blown up. And now you're having to figure out, okay, I can't really build a better roster because all my money is being spent on this guy who hasn't performed at all this year because of whatever reason. He looks horrible. You look better with Brissett, to be honest. So I don't know, man. I think his career, I said it before, if he even plays at all this year, which he ended up playing, I said, I don't know if you'll even see him play next year because there's going to be more allegations. There's going to be more drama. And does he get through all that mentally? If he does come back and play in camp and he's free and clear and he comes back to camp, I don't know if he's mentally tough enough to do it. I don't know if he can get through this. He looks lost when you look at him in his interviews. He looks like he is so distraught. There's no way you can play quarterback in the NFL with all this on your shoulders and on your back if you're that guy. And I don't see him being that guy. And I just think he's going to be another guy they're having to force to play because they paid him $250 million. I think they are stuck, and the Browns have been set back, who knows, at least 5 years, maybe 10.
Anything else you want to get off your chest, JB, before I let you go?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes overrated. Nobody wants to talk about it. I'm being blasted by all your boys. In Kansas City. On my show today, I got all these people coming blasting me. They're like, "You're trending in Kansas City, coach, because you said he was gimmicky." Can I give you a few stats real quick? I want to make sure everyone here.
What? Start with 13-4 and start with a second MVP trophy. Start with them two stats.
All right.
Go ahead. Now go from there.
League, 41 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
41 touchdowns. Mahomes leads the league. Guess what 18 of those touchdowns are from? Guess where 18 of the 41 touchdowns are from? 1 to 5 yards range. He's thrown 7 shovel passes for touchdowns. Guess where 12 touchdowns of the 41 are from? 6 to 10 yards. 11 to 15 yards, 1 touchdown. 16 to 20 yards, he has 4 touchdowns. He has 0 touchdowns thrown, 20 or 25 yards. And out of 25 to 50 yards, he has 6 touchdowns, 4 of those being on escape drill plays. So please break down the 41 touchdowns that everyone's so enamored with and how Pac-Man Jones and I broke him down today, saying that even on the Whirly Bird huddle break play, he was late throwing that ball. He's late consistently. He will not step up in the pocket and throw the ball on time. That is just how loaded this Chief roster has been for the last 4 years. And he has 1 Super Bowl. And I can't believe no one's talking about it. Everyone's anointing him the greatest thing. But why does he have 1 Super Bowl? If he's so good.
He's young. What is he? He's barely 21.
He's already – hey, Russell Wilson has the same amount of Super Bowls. And guess what? Eli Manning has 1 more than this so-called GOAT. So until he wins another Super Bowl, I'm not even going to discuss him. I think he's gimmicky. I think he's overrated. And I want Kansas City to hear me loud and clear. He's thrown 41 touchdowns. 30 of them have been under 10 yards. Let that sink in. So great job. I got TCU getting blown out tonight. I think Georgia blows them out. And I'm calling a 35-13 ball game.
Thank you, JB.
Peace, brother.
We'll talk to you. We may ask you to come on tomorrow if something happens in this college football game interesting. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Great job.